Welcome Internet to Psychologist Casual Review, and today we're going to be reviewing The Poetics of the Body, which is a very nice title. It's a book written by Sylvie Le Poulichet, which is a French psychoanalyst and a psychologist. She used to be, and I still think still is, professor at the Paris 7 University. And basically I wanted to talk about this book because it was a very, very interesting book, I felt. Very rich in its content and very short. So it's packed with ideas, but it's really short. So in this book, Sylvie Le Poulichet is going to be interested in those cases in which people basically have a body image that's filled with gaps, flaws, and even sometimes they can't feel their body, or their body becomes some kind of mysterious or even outright bizarre phenomenon for them. And so she explains it by stating that sometimes in relationships, especially the early relationships, it's the parents that through their look, through their eyes, qualify the body of the child, that gives the child a representation of their body, meaning that basically they are the ones to name what's an arm, what are the eyes, the nose, the cheeks, and that all of this is constituent of the image that someone has of their body, not just of their psyche, but of their body. And that through the relationship to the first objects, meaning the parents in most cases, that image is basically reassured, constructed, and becomes solid, a bit like a stone or a thick piece of wood that's basically hard and unbreakable. But she states that for some people who the relationship was very complicated with the parents, or the parents were never able to see them for who they were, and not necessarily in that Winnicottian sense, but beyond that sense of like sometimes seeing the patients that she had not only as basic extension of themselves, so it means the parents saw them as basically a part of themselves, meaning that there was no separation. Even corporally, there was no separation. There was no aim at basically putting a distance that means that it's my body and it's your body. It's just everything's combined. And she says that for those patients, it's been catastrophic in their self-image of their bodies. And basically, they have never been birthed through who they were. They've just been an extension of their parents. And sometimes that catastrophic element within the relationship has permeated so deep that the act itself of becoming a true individual is destructive by nature, but not just destructive for the person, but for the relationship. And the relationship is the person at this point. So basically, it's as if there was a merger. She calls it a chimera, meaning kind of like a hybrid, like in the Greek mythological sense. And basically, that's what the person becomes. The person is, in this case, and in many others that she elaborates on, becomes a combination with their parents, something that cannot be separated. And that separation is so essential, because that separation is also going to allow the person to be able to create their own body image. And that's what she's into. In this book, she states that basically to help people through analysis that are dealing with sins like this, that basically you have to go back to the body image, that it's not something that's going to be a given, as it could be or it should be, but it's going to be something that's going to necessitate a lot of work, both for the therapist and for the patient. And what I loved about this book is that you can feel that Le Poulichet is very humble about this, that she's not necessarily in the know. When sins happen, they happen, and through her writing style, you can feel it, that she has a lot of hypotheses and a lot of things that are theoretical, but deep down, when she talks about her cases, you can feel that she's much more hesitant, that she's very human in her approach, that it's not about knowing, it's about experiencing. And through that experience, the person can finally have a good enough figure that puts the emphasis on the body so that the person can try and finally let go of that chimera, to be able to detach themselves and to be born anew. And she gave many examples in this book of people who have been helped by her and through the psychotherapy, through the analysis. And I found that to be an incredibly interesting combination of elements, as she talks about things like the fear of falling forever and ever, and the fact that it is linked in a way to the idea of never being held, and that through the fact of holding, you're already giving a form of protection, of skin ego, as Didier Anzieux would say. I don't know if she states that, but that's kind of the idea. And through that holding, the person also solidifies their body image, that they're not just a psyche in a spectral way, but they're a person, a body, and that there's a body and the psyche are finally united as not being opposite, but as being basically one and together. And that togetherness is something that's very important. She insists upon it a lot in the book. That basically there is this idea that rebirth is incredibly important. And that rebirth is something that can only really be achieved if the person lets go of who they are and who their parents wanted them to be, in order to create a first and foremost fracture in the chimera, so that the person can truly be who they are. And she gives a lot of examples, clinical examples, true examples of how this works. And those examples are, I think, very, very interesting. Like, I was very marked by those patients that have the feeling of falling forever, or those who were able to sculpt and be creative and recreate their body image through art. And that I found was incredible and very interesting. And I also loved in this book the fact that Sylvie Le Poulichet gives examples of quantum physics, in order to say that things are not always as easy as one would think, and that basically you have to have a leap of faith in a way when you're doing that, because you don't really truly know. But it's something that nevertheless gives incredibly good results, according to her. And I feel that it's something that's also very objectifiable, as sometimes people come in and you can feel that letting go and rebuilding who they are, and even bodily wise, reconnecting with what physically they are, is of a tremendous importance and can really help to go beyond a simple just a state of mind. It's really a reconnection, something that comes together in a way that's wonderful. And I fully agree with her, and full-heartedly. She also talks about how sometimes in very early relationships, parents are not always available, as sometimes they project onto the child their own parents, or sometimes some disaster has happened in generations prior, and that disaster has effects on the patient, even though it's not the patient that's in it. It's far, far, far beyond. And she also states that there needs to be a first mirror, a first positive mirror, what she would call an identification mirror, or mirror of identification. I'm sorry, it's in French, so I don't know how to translate it correctly, but the idea is that that first mirror is what's going to define the person. And that first mirror is essential for the person to be able to outgrow it. And that's what analysis is giving to the patients. It's that first positive mirror that is essential for growth, for being itself. And I think that there is a parallel to be made with the works of Harry Guntrip, especially the book he wrote on schizoid phenomena, object relation, and the self, which does give the same vibe-ish. That basically there needs to be a regression and a rebirth through therapy, through trust and deep connection with the clinician, as those are the elements that will put in motion the whole process of individuation. Here, individuation is not individuation from the archetypes as in Jung, but individuation as becoming a genuine individual, a true individual, an individual that's not held back by anguishes of destruction or fears of being in an amalgamation with the parent, but as a true being that goes beyond. And that's what I found very interesting also, is that basically she does not shy away from the fact that those people that need that help, it's something that's complicated, hard, and uncertain. In a way, she does not really talk about diagnosis, except at one point to say that most people with those issues, with those bodily issues, would be considered but like being borderline personality disorders, but she doesn't really emphasize that because she's not interested in the diagnosis more than in the issues that people are facing. But I found it interesting as she shows that there is always a way of helping people, and even if people are uncertain or the clinician is afraid, there is always a way to go beyond and to help. And I found that incredible and very, very truthful. So on the whole, I would say it was a great read, short and sweet, but very, very idea-packed. In a way, I would not necessarily recommend it to the layman, as you do have to have a solid knowledge of psychoanalysis to really fully appreciate the work. But if you're good in psychoanalysis and can read French, this is the top of the pops in a way, and I really liked it. So hard recommendation on this, and I would say if you have it, give it a shot. So anyway, that's gonna conclude this video. I hope you liked it, and I'll see you in the next one.